All right, Anabolic Academy here on Serious and Silliness Bodybuilding. What do we do on Anabolic Academy? If this is your first time tuning in to Anabolic Academy, what we do is you send me questions, I answer them about bodybuilding, fitness, or whatever it is you'd like to ask me. So where can you reach me? Serious and Silliness on Instagram, John Livia on TikTok, John Livia on Facebook. My email, UncleJohn1201 at Gmail and John underscore Livia at Yahoo. Now, I'm not going to lie, I've been a little distracted from bodybuilding this weekend because of the whole Trump attempted assassination. So I had to do a little bit of research, if you will, to catch up on bodybuilding. That was yesterday. I did the review on Atlanta and the review on Vancouver. But the rest of the weekend, I was like consumed with like Donald Trump and the assassination, just like everybody else. When something that serious happens, bodybuilding kind of falls to the wayside, right? And then you got to go, oh, I got a bodybuilding channel. I gotta do what I gotta do. But anyway, we're here. Bodybuilding is the sport. This is a channel. We're going to answer 4 questions, all of which came from, you guessed it, Fran is the man on Instagram. Fran, thank you for sending me the questions. Because this week, if you didn't send me questions, I wouldn't have any. So please, guys, send me questions. Because I can answer like pretty much almost like anything you want about bodybuilding or fitness, or just ask me anything. I don't give a shit. Anyway, all right. So let's go to his first question. Thoughts on the Tren Twins' first bodybuilding show? Do they have a bright future in bodybuilding? All right. First thing, I don't really give a shit about the Tren Twins. All right. So those of you who live under a rock or don't follow bodybuilding, there are these 2 kids, call themselves the Tren Twins, obviously, after Trenbolone. There are 2 knuckleheads, early 20s, that just want to like basically do steroids, get jacked, chase girls, and that's about it. They are pretty much everything that is wrong with bodybuilding because they are the type of guys that people look at and go, that's what a bodybuilder is? These dummies, right? Now, they did kudos to them for getting on stage. I don't know if they had to diet very hard because they always look like they're in shape and so on and so forth. So I don't know their work ethic. It was an NPC show. The show was called, I had to write it down, was the Southern States Championship. And there's 2 brothers, Michael and Chris. Michael won the open bodybuilding, and Chris took second open classic physique, and then he won the novice. Do I think they have a good future in bodybuilding? In my opinion, no, because God knows how much shit they're on right now, and they're only doing a opening beginner level NPC show. That's what they're doing. Why do I say no? Because I don't know their work ethic. I can't believe that they have great work ethic. Oh, in the gym, they train hard in the gym. Yeah, that's great, but that's only part of it. That's the fun part when you're in the gym. Do they have what it takes to eat what they need to eat? Do they have what it takes to diet down? Do they have what it takes to be patient on the natural progression of bodybuilding? These guys are in their early 20s. They're very young. It's possible they can have a future. I don't see it. They're making so much money on social media with their platforms. That takes a little bit of the hunger away right there. I mean, I might be wrong, but I'm just not these social media guys. I'm just not into them. I really am because they're 2 dummies. I know they're young guys, and I know that they're doing what they do and they're making money, and everybody's going to say, "Oh, you're a hater." They're 2 dummies, and they young guys follow them. These young kids follow them, and they just promote using all types of steroids, whether it's indirectly promoting it or directly promoting it. And then you have, okay, I'm going to sound like a hater, but then you have a channel like mine, who I have a panel of professional elite bodybuilders that come on every week, and we discuss and talk about the actual sport, actual training, actually what's going on. I mean, we have fun with it too. I have Anabolic Academy where you can actually ask me, and I will give you educated questions. I am more of a fan of the RX muscles, the Dennis James, the Hostel, because these guys are really educated on the sport of bodybuilding. I don't like watching, social media influencers that, the Sam Suliks and the Tren Twins and who else? It's just a bunch of dummies, and they give the wrong impression. They don't know their ass from their elbow when it comes to the actual drugs and the supplements and blah blah blah. And there's nothing that the Tren Twins or Sam Sulik or whatever other social media bodybuilding influence could teach me. Nothing. There's nothing they could teach me. I learned from the guys that I put myself around: the Jason Arns, Phil Clayhar, Dave Palumbo, who else? Lukeman, God rest his soul, Danny Broadhurst was a wealth of knowledge. If I needed an in-depth answer to a bodybuilding question, and we're talking about either the training or the anabolics or the supplementation, an in-depth question, not what should I take, but I'm talking about how does this react with this? Danny had the answer. And these are the guys that people should be following. But I don't give a fuck about the fucking Tren Twins. They're hacks. They're just kids. They're dumb kids. They look like, I don't know where they're from, but they look like they should be down the Jersey Shore or something like that. I mean, whatever. Okay, that's my take on that. All right. Now, question number 2 from Fran is the man. Does weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy affect your strength gains? Yes, because it kills your appetite. It destroys your appetite. So obviously, if you have no appetite and you don't want to eat, you're not going to be able to gain muscle. Okay? These drugs, like Ozempic and Wegovy, they're for people that are extremely obese, and if they don't lose weight soon, they're borderline diabetic, they have heart problems, they have cholesterol, they have blood pressure, and they don't have any other choice. Okay? And now what's happening is everybody is using it because they want the quick fix. They want the quick fix. So the people that have to lose 10 pounds or 20 pounds, instead of them actually dieting and working on themselves and going to the gym and so on and so forth, they're just jumping on the hot new trend. And they don't educate themselves, they don't do anything about it. Ozempic is literally for people that have zero discipline, and they know they need to stop putting food in their mouth, and they don't have any discipline, so they need a drug to help them to stop putting food in their mouth instead of just putting food in their mouth. That's what it is. That's what it is. I know. Call me a hypocrite. EQNO. I get it. Okay, I get it. But this is just my opinion. So yes, this is not something that bodybuilders should take. All right. Ozempic, Wegovy. As far as I'm concerned, these are drugs that only severely obese people should be taking, because for whatever reason, they have a problem losing weight. And most of the time it's lack of discipline. But at that point, when you're that big, when you're that fat of a person, and you have to choose between, blood pressure problems, heart problems, diabetes, or taking Ozempic, take the Ozempic, right? I mean, that's my attitude. But the girl who just wants to lose 10 pounds to get into the bikini and starts taking it, you're just a dummy. You're just a dummy. Like, you literally can't go to the gym and work out a little bit and have a little bit of discipline and don't eat the chocolate chip cookies. Instead, make small food choices. You can't do that. No, it's ridiculous. But okay, next question from Franz the man. When should kids start strength training? High school. Usually once they join sports, then they get into the weight room. High school is like strength training. Anytime I see young kids working out, I always say to them, do you play any sports? Because I felt like I made a mistake ignoring sports and falling in love with weightlifting. because it took me nowhere but a couple of trophies I have back there. Where if you played football or basketball or baseball, you know, I'd be able to get a scholarship to college. And that's my attitude. So generally speaking, strength training for kids is usually in, how can I say this? Strength training for kids, teenagers in limited fashion, limited roles is fine when you're a teenager, if that makes any sense. If these kids want to go through let's face it, no high school kid is going to go to the gym 6 days a week because he's does not going to have money for the membership. He's not going to be able to get there. They're too worried about school or sports or girls, or they don't know uh, what it is to put on out. They think they're just going to bench press and that's it. They don't know any better. So, when they have a coach that plays football and that coaches them in football around, and I say, all right, we're going to the weight room, and the coach teaches them a little bit, that's fine. That's more than enough. Okay. That's more than enough. If they fall in love with bodybuilding and falling in love with weight training or falling in love with powerlifting, it'll come later. It'll come later. Okay. Now, last question. Does looking jacked always make a good impression? I think being fit makes a good impression. I think being huge. I think once you cross the line to huge, once you get to Nick Walker, once you get to Samson Dowda, once you get to these guys that are just massive human beings, I think you cross the line of being impressive to a line of, good God, how does somebody get that big? I mean, I've told this story a million times. Akeem Williams, I've seen in person plenty of times. The first time I ever saw him in person, it was in the gym, and because he's from Brooklyn, but he lives in Jersey now. So do I. But he's just this massive. I can't even. It's just massive, huge person. When you see a guy that's in shape and he's in a suit and he looks good and you could tell that he takes care of his body, I think that gives a very, very good impression. I think that says I am disciplined, I am well groomed, and I take care of myself. When you get into like the really jacked bodybuilders, the guys that are, then it becomes, they must be obsessed, right? I mean, look, I'd rather be huge than be a big fat person, right? But that's my opinion. I think the guy who's in shape, who keeps himself in shape and, works out to stay fit, I think that's more like when people look at it, being impressed. Because what's funny is you don't see a lot of those guys unless they're young, young dudes. But once you kind of get over 30, the guys either become like dad bods or they get fat. And then there's a handful of guys that like working out like me, where it just becomes a lifestyle. So you enjoy putting muscle on, being a bodybuilder, and so on and so forth. But the guys that wake up in the morning and go jogging or biking and have a good diet and they stay lean and for the sake of being healthy and looking good, and they're few and far between. And those guys usually, because they're so disciplined with working out, but not to the extreme, they're usually very disciplined in other aspects of their life, like work or they're very balanced individuals. But the guys that have the dad bods, they work, they eat, they go to bed, and fuck it, I'm tired, I can't go, whatever, blah 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 blah. It's a different, it's a different animal. It's a different animal. But no, I think guys that get too big, I don't think it becomes impressive. I think it becomes people look at you and be like, wow, you're obsessed. Anyway, don't miss out on Muscle Talk. I have a special guest coming on. And then I will be interviewing another special guest this Friday, which means it will be up Saturday. First time he's ever been on my show. He contacted me today and gave me a nice compliment and told me my channel is hilarious. He said, bro, you're hilarious. I said, well, you got to come on the show. So stay tuned I'm not going to tell you who the special guest is on Muscle Talk. I'm now telling you who I'm interviewing on Friday. You have to come and look for yourself because I need the views. Please like, share, subscribe. Tell everybody you know about bodybuilding. There's this great new bodybuilding channel, and the guy is fantastic. Peace.